IT on demand again. Yeah, so we have been on this journey and it feels like we've really started programming, right? And I just hope that you're learning something, and I want to believe that you are practicing and coding along with me as I am coding as well. And if you found these videos helpful, please click on that thumb up button that you see there on this video. And if you know others too who would also want to learn programming from scratch like this, please feel free to share it with them, and do not forget to also subscribe, and definitely remember to turn on your notification bell. So let's continue from where we last stopped. I've been using Visual Studio Code, and I think I can just get rid of this and go back to the files here. All right, so the last time we talked about how to use numbers, and I stopped at this point where we talked about using parentheses. And one of the things I want you to notice is that there's also parentheses, and which is this. And what parentheses does is that it's used for grouping. So say you want to alter or you want to change the order of the execution of a particular expression. So in this case, and I think I use this as an example, I'm going to click on this 3 and just look at this place in case you don't see terminal here. But of course, if you don't see terminal here, you can as well go up. But look at these 3 dots, and let me just zoom out a bit. If I zoom out a bit, it's obviously going to show here, but because I don't know, I just want you guys to see this very clearly. That's why I had to zoom in. So I'll zoom in again, and you may not need to do this, but yeah, I'm going to click on that terminal, and this was where I stopped. So let's say we have that expression there, 3 plus 5 times 2. The way this expression is executed is that it looks from left to right. And I'm not going to use this video to talk about how this is executed or the way this is done, because there are other things I want to do in this video. And of course, we'll definitely look at how this is executed. But for now, I just want you to see that the parenthesis is used for grouping, and then it changes the order of execution. So if you look at 3 plus 5 times 2, it will do this 5 times 2 first, and that's 10, plus 3 will give us 13. So let's confirm that from here. 3 spacebar plus, which is addition, spacebar, 5 spacebar times spacebar 2, and then the enter button, and we get 13. But let's do the other one and let's see what we get. And I put parentheses, 3 spacebar plus spacebar 5 parentheses spacebar times spacebar 2. And yes, by the way, that reminds me, this multiplication sign that you see here, it's not the same thing as X on your keyboard. This is asterisk, and you can see that I think it should be on, if you look at your keyboard, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It should be on number 8. And if you just hold down your shift button and you press that 8, you should get this asterisk symbol. And just so you know, in case you had that error, maybe you were mistakenly typing X. This is not X. All right, so 3 plus 5, and let's just execute this before I run this. 3 plus 5 would give 8, because now it has grouped this together. And so it has to do this first. So 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 times 2 gives us 16. And let's run that, and we see 16. All right, so parentheses are used for grouping. And what they do essentially is that they change, and of course this in relation to numbers. I think I should stress that. What they do in relation to using them with numbers is that they change the flow or the order of execution of that particular expression. So let's look at the assignment operator. And what the assignment operator does is that it assigns a value to a variable. So we'll talk about variable naming, and we'll talk about good names and bad names, and we'll talk about those later. But for now, what I just want you to see is that we use the assignment operator. And again, let me just note it here that we have this assignment operator for assigning values. And I can just get rid of this, or maybe I should just leave it here. Okay, but I'll take it down. All right. So let's see how we use the assignment operator. Now, remember in the last program we wrote, if you look at this single shopper, you can see we have these operators where we have price equal to something, right? It's the same thing we do here. So let's say that I just manually say that the price is equal to 50, right? And I hit the enter button. You will not see anything, but if you just type price now and you strike the enter button, you see that 50. And what that means is that I'm taking 50, the value 50, and I'm storing it in a variable called price. And so later on in my program, if I want to use price, if I want to call that 50, I can now call price. And so I'm able to use it anywhere else, and to do any other thing I want to do. So let's say that I want to, things have, this inflation, and I want to add price to that. So maybe price has gone up by 10, and I want to know how much now that is. I say price plus 10, and I hit the enter button, you get 60, right? And so this is how you assign variables. Assign values to variable. One other thing I think I should mention is that I talked about in the last video, I talked about integers and floating points, and that might be a little bit confusing and intimidating to you, who, of course, who is starting to know what programming is. So if you look at this, and I'll give a few examples here. I want to say that, so let's say the balance is equal to 5040.0, and I hit the enter button. Of course, you won't see anything, just as we didn't see in price. But I want you to notice this, that when I do type of price and I strike the enter button, it tells me that this price is of class int, which means it's an integer. And if I do a type of balance, I'll see that type of balance is actually float. And what does that mean? It just simply means that this is just a single, a number that does not have remainder. That's what integer means. That's the simplest way I can define it. It's a number that does not have remainder. Float, on the other hand, is also a number, but it has remainder. And that's why the last time we talked about division, and let's just quickly see this in action. So type of 2 plus 2, what will this give us? Enter, we see that it's an integer. Let's do type, I keep typing this class, type of 2 plus 2.0. What happens to this? Float. And that's one thing I want you to call your attention to in Python. It turns out that when you had an integer with a float, the output is converted to a float, right? And let's just recall again that when we did, so let's do type of 2 divided by 1, and remember that I talked about two kinds of division. This is the normal division that would return a float, and as you can see, this returns float, right? And say you want the one without float, you have to do 2 floor division. If you still remember, I call this is called floor division in Python, and of course I think in most other languages as well, so not just in Python, but it's called floor division generally. So 2 floor division, 2 floor divided by 1, we get this. As you can see, this is an integer, and so this here is what I want to show you in this program. And as you can see, our program is beginning to take course, we are beginning to see certain things. So because if we know ahead of time that the customer is coming with, the customer will bring 100 naira, for instance, $100, sorry. And if ahead of time, I know that the customer is going to buy an item worth $50, then I can just say that the price equal to 50, because I know ahead of time that the price is $50. And I can just say that, okay, I know ahead of time as well that this customer is going to come with $100, right? And I hit the enter button again after typing that. And I can just look for the balance and say, okay, the balance is going to be the payment minus the price, because that's what it is. Balance is what the customer pays minus what the price is. And I hit the enter button. And so I can then say, okay, I just want to know the balance. And so I type balance and I hit the enter button and you can see 50. So again, we can as well still change price to become 70. So let's say because of the inflation, the price has gone up to 70. I do that. And now if I do, if I still do balance, let's see what we get. We still get 50. Do you know why? Because at this point, the balance still stores in the previous payment. So if we want it to reflect, and this is something you have to take note of. If you want the new price to reflect, you have to still reassign that balance again and say balance is now payment minus price. And you hit the enter button, and now when you do balance, you can see 30 there. So we'll continue in this. We'll continue looking at numbers. There are still a few things I want us to look at. I'm talking about the order of operations and the order in which these operations are performed. We'll look at that in the next video and see you in that one. Bye.